Alright, so here we go. We're working with a 1000 grit stone now. Again, these are the Naniwa traditional stones, so they do require a bit of soaking time. If you bought their professional stones or their, I think they call them the Chaucera stones, they don't really need soak, just kind of splash them in once. But aside from that, everything's relatively the same. You'll still use the same progression, 220, 1000, and then I like to go from there to a 4000 and then a 6000, which I'll show you in the next video. But I'm going to work on this 1000 grit here and show you where we're at. When you're done with this, you will have a sharp knife. You know, from that point onward, you're basically going to be refining and kind of polishing the edge. Alright, so don't really need as much pressure for this step, and you're going to want to work a little more evenly here. I generally, like I said, I work across the stone kind of like this. You know, some of these particulars are not so important. What is important is if you find something that's comfortable, that you're able to consistently achieve, you know, certain results. You know, what I'm doing with this particular blade works for a smaller knife for chickens, or a larger one for, you know, for behemoths or cattle. This is a Dacois knife, or a smaller blade, you know, for generally for sheep, goats, lamb. You know, again, it's not how many times, but I'd say generally probably about 30 or 40 times. And what you do to one side, you're going to want to do to the other. But again, you're going to kind of keep working this way until you feel a burr developing on one side. When you do, you're going to turn it over and work on the other side. Once you take the time to do this and go all the way through, you'll have an edge that'll last you a very long time. And from there, you'll be able to just work on it with really fine stones to basically just kind of maintain that edge until you've really worn it down. And, you know, then you'll have to sort of redo this all over again. But you know, if you've given yourself a nice edge, it should last you a while. So, you know, once you get through with this, from here on in, you'll be able to do most of your work with like a 4000 or a 6000 grit. And you may opt to use some of the other type of stones I talked with you about, such as an Arkansas, or the Belgian stone, the conical. But these are the basics, and if you learn to do this with these kind of stones, you'll be able to basically get any knife sharp with pretty much any kind of stone. Just takes practice, takes time. I've had people tell me they worked on a knife for 20 minutes and they couldn't get it. You know, you got to take the time. You really do got to put it in. It's a... Alright, we're starting to get a burr here. want to be careful, especially if you're working with a thinner stone. Watch out for your fingers. So make sure you keep your fingers well below the top of the stone. Just a good little point to remember. Also, now is when you're going to want to start paying attention to the corners of your knife. You want to making sure not to round them off. You want to keep them good and square, so always make sure that your blade is flat on the stone, not like this or like this. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, I'm pretty easy to get in touch with. I usually respond pretty quickly. I also do offer this as a service to folks. If you got something that has been damaged or needs a lot of work, or somebody put on a grinding wheel and messed up pretty good. But, you know, this is something you can actually do for yourself if you're willing to take the time to do it. So now we've got a burr on one side. I'm gonna right here even this out, and then we're gonna flip it over and work on the other side. Although it's much easier to do this, you know, you could buy like a sink bridge, or they do sell stands, you could use it on the table. I think it's important to get a feel for doing this, holding it in your hand, because, well, if this is what you do for a living, there is going to come a day when you're going to have to fix your knife, and you're going to have to do it holding it in your hand. So you know, if for some reason something happens, you drop your knife or it hits something and you ruin your edge, you're going to have to be able to get it back to kosher in whatever environment you happen to be in. So I think it's a worthwhile skill to have. So I will check back with you and show you my progress here in a little bit. And until then, keep on practicing. Thank you.